Climate change catastrophe, the terrifying impact of melting ice. The alarming reality of our planet's warming is no longer a distant or debated possibility, but a pressing and scientifically supported fact. Over the decades, the increase in global temperatures and the subsequent melting of the Arctic ice have become incontrovertible. Rising sea levels. As a result of the rising temperatures, glaciers and ice caps around the globe are melting at an alarming rate, causing a consistent rise in sea levels. The impact on island nations. For several island nations, such as the Maldives, Marshall Islands, Kiribati, and Tuvalu, the rising sea levels pose an existential threat. These nations could be entirely submerged underwater, leading to the displacement of their entire populations. Unimaginable future scenarios. If we envision a worst-case scenario where all the ice on Earth melts, the consequences become all the more terrifying. Melting all the ice in Antarctica, Greenland, and the world's glaciers would result in sea levels rising by an astonishing 68.3 meters, causing irrevocable changes to the world's geography over a span of 5,000 years if the current melting rate continues. North America underwater. In North America, this unprecedented rise would submerge cities such as Vancouver, Seattle, Portland, and most of San Diego and Los Angeles. San Francisco would become an island. San Jose would be devastated, and the San Francisco Bay would engulf Sacramento entirely. The Gulf of California would stretch so far north that Palm Springs would become a coastal city. The Atlantic coastline. The Atlantic coastline would see massive changes, with cities like Corpus Christi, Houston, New Orleans, nearly all of Florida and Delaware, almost all of Long Island, and major cities like New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and Boston submerged underwater. South America. South America would also face severe flooding, leading to the formation of two new inland seas. Cities like Buenos Aires, Montevideo, and Rio de Janeiro would be completely submerged. Devastation in Europe. Europe would experience some of the most devastating impacts. Entire countries like the Netherlands would disappear beneath the sea, along with nearly all of Denmark and half of Belgium. The British Isles would transform into an archipelago, and London would be lost to the sea. Northern Germany, including Berlin, would also be submerged, and Venice would be consumed by the Adriatic Sea. Africa and the Middle East. In Africa, while the continent would be less affected compared to others, Egypt would still face severe damage with cities like Cairo and Alexandria underwater. The Persian Gulf would completely engulf countries like Qatar and Bahrain, and Baghdad would also be lost to rising waters. Asia would experience catastrophic changes, with India and Pakistan severely affected, and Bangladesh wholly disappearing. In China, hundreds of millions of people would end up underwater, including in cities like Beijing and Shanghai. Seoul, Pyongyang, and Tokyo would also face severe flooding. Australia and Antarctica. Australia would become home to a new inland sea, dramatically altering its landscape. Lastly, Antarctica would transform into a series of islands, likely becoming habitable and easily colonizable by future generations. What can we do? It's essential to address the burning question: what can we do to prevent this nightmarish future? The most effective way to mitigate climate warming is by reducing the use of fossil fuels and transitioning to renewable energy sources. Countries that generate at least 75% of their energy from renewable sources, like solar, wind, and hydro, are leading the way. Renewable energy investments. Renewable energy investments are critical in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. By increasing the share of energy derived from solar, wind, and hydro sources, countries can significantly reduce their carbon footprint. The growing trend in renewable energy investments marks a promising shift toward a more sustainable future.